Hello, welcome to Ives channel. Today we will learn about the dangerous situation Mark Greene finds himself in as he becomes entangled in E.J. DiMera's secretive laboratory project, a decision that could very well send the former doctor straight back to Statesville prison. Mark's desperate circumstances. Mark Greene, portrayed by Jonah Robinson, has been walking a tightrope ever since his release from Statesville. The skilled physician, who once held a promising career at University Hospital, now finds himself in a precarious position that threatens to destroy everything he's worked so hard to rebuild. His involvement with privately funded research seemed like an opportunity for redemption, a chance to reclaim some semblance of his former life and professional standing. However, what initially appeared as a legitimate medical research opportunity has transformed into something far more sinister and legally questionable. Mark's desperation to stay out of prison and provide for his siblings Irna and Felicity has clouded his judgment, making him vulnerable to offers that come with hidden dangers. The Shadowy Research Project. E.J. DiMera's mysterious laboratory project operates in the shadows of legality, shrouded in non-disclosure agreements and conducted away from the scrutiny of medical ethics boards. The nature of this privately funded research raises numerous red flags that Mark cannot ignore, yet his circumstances leave him with limited options. E.J. has recruited Mark specifically for his medical expertise and knowledge of complex procedures, but the secrecy surrounding the experiment suggests something profoundly unethical may be underway. The research involves conducting laboratory experiments that push the boundaries of conventional medicine, potentially crossing into territory that violates federal regulations and medical licensing standards. Mark understands the gravity of his situation. One misstep, one leaked detail, or one experiment gone wrong could result in criminal charges that would send him back to the very prison he desperately wants to avoid. The non-disclosure agreement trap. The ironclad non-disclosure agreement Mark signed effectively silences him, creating a prison of secrets that may prove just as confining as Statesville itself. This legal document binds Mark to absolute confidentiality, preventing him from revealing any details about the research to friends, family, or authorities. The NDA serves multiple purposes for E.J. It protects the secrecy of the project while simultaneously making Mark complicit in whatever occurs within the laboratory walls. Should anything go catastrophically wrong, Mark's signature on that agreement implicates him as a willing participant rather than a coerced accomplice. This legal entanglement means Mark cannot seek advice from trusted colleagues like Kayla Johnson, who once vouched for his character and integrity. He cannot confide in his siblings about the true nature of his work, leaving him isolated and vulnerable. The weight of this secret grows heavier with each passing day, and Mark realizes too late that he may have traded his freedom for a different kind of imprisonment, one built on lies, secrecy, and moral compromise. E.J.'s calculated manipulation. E.J. DiMera has demonstrated a long history of manipulating others to achieve his objectives, using their vulnerabilities and desperate circumstances to his advantage. His recruitment of Mark Greene follows this established pattern perfectly, identifying someone with medical expertise who also faces financial pressures and legal troubles. E.J. understands that Mark's primary motivation centers on staying out of prison and supporting his younger siblings, making him the ideal candidate for morally questionable research that requires discretion. The district attorney-turned-researcher has structured the arrangement to ensure Mark's cooperation while maintaining plausible deniability for himself should authorities eventually investigate. E.J.'s laboratory experiments require specialized medical knowledge that Mark possesses, but they also require someone willing to look the other way when ethical boundaries begin to blur. The power dynamic heavily favors E.J., who can threaten to expose Mark's involvement at any time, effectively ensuring the doctor's silence and continued participation. The Statesville Spectre. The mere mention of Statesville prison sends chills down Mark's spine, haunting his every decision and coloring his judgment. His previous incarceration resulted from circumstances involving Clyde Weston's deadly schemes, a nightmare he barely survived. Life behind those walls was brutal, dehumanizing, and stripped away every shred of dignity Mark once possessed as a respected physician. The thought of returning to that environment, the cold cells, the violence, the loss of freedom, terrifies him beyond measure. This fear makes Mark vulnerable to exploitation, causing him to accept risks he would normally reject without hesitation. Every time he enters EJ's laboratory, he weighs the potential consequences, continued freedom versus the possibility of arrest if the project's true nature comes to light. The irony is not lost on Mark that his efforts to avoid prison may be the very actions that ultimately send him back there. His desperation has created a self-fulfilling prophecy, where attempting to secure his freedom only entangles him deeper in criminal activity. The weight of responsibility. Mark's role as guardian to his younger siblings Aaron and Felicity adds tremendous pressure to his already complicated situation. Aaron's needs are relatively straightforward, but Felicity's differing abilities require specialized care and attention that comes with significant financial costs. The family struggle to afford even basic extras like Aaron's lacrosse camp, highlighting their precarious financial situation. This reality weighs heavily on Mark's conscience, knowing that his siblings depend entirely on his ability to provide for them. His decision to participate in EJ's research project stems partially from this desperate need to secure his family's financial future. However, Mark now faces a terrible moral dilemma. The money he earns from this questionable research could indeed improve his siblings' lives, but at what cost to his own freedom and integrity? If he's arrested and imprisoned again, Aaron and Felicity would be left without their primary caregiver, potentially separated and placed in foster care. This nightmare scenario keeps Mark awake at night, torn between protecting his siblings' immediate needs and safeguarding their long-term stability by avoiding criminal entanglements. The laboratory's dark secrets. The true nature of EJ's laboratory experiments remains shrouded in mystery, but the level of secrecy suggests something far more controversial than standard medical research. Rumors circulating through Salem suggest the project may involve attempts at resurrection or radical life extension procedures connected to the DiMera family legacy. EJ's obsession with his father Stefano's brilliance and influence may be driving him toward experiments that attempt to defy death itself. The laboratory equipment Mark has access to includes cutting-edge technology not typically found in standard research facilities, hinting at procedures that push the boundaries of current medical science. Each experiment Mark assists with takes him further into ethically gray territory, where the line between scientific advancement and dangerous experimentation becomes increasingly blurred. The privately funded nature of the research means it operates outside the normal oversight mechanisms that protect human subjects and ensure ethical compliance. Mark recognizes that some of the procedures they're developing could have catastrophic consequences if they fail or if the technology falls into the wrong hands. The point of no return. Mark Greene now stands at a critical crossroads, having ventured so deep into EJ's project that extraction seems nearly impossible without severe consequences. The information he's already privy to makes him a liability, someone who could expose the entire operation if he chose to speak. This knowledge creates a dangerous dynamic where Mark is simultaneously essential to the project's success and a potential threat to its secrecy. EJ undoubtedly has contingency plans in place should Mark attempt to withdraw or threaten to reveal what he knows. The non-disclosure agreement provides legal cover, but EJ's resources extend far beyond simple lawsuits. The DiMera family's influence reaches into law enforcement, the courts, and the corridors of power throughout Salem. Mark realizes that his participation in this research has created a web of complicity that entangles him more tightly with each passing day. Even if he wanted to approach authorities and expose the project, his own involvement would likely result in criminal charges. The doctor who once took an oath to do no harm now finds himself potentially contributing to experiments that could have devastating consequences, all while trapped in a situation with no clear exit strategy. The coming weeks will test Mark Greene's resolve as the full scope of EJ's plans begins to emerge, forcing him to decide whether protecting his freedom and supporting his siblings justifies the moral compromises he's making. One wrong move, one failed experiment, or one moment of conscience could shatter the fragile balance Mark has maintained, sending him straight back to Statesville and leaving his siblings without their guardian. The tension mounts as Mark realizes he may have already crossed the point of no return, bound by secrecy, complicity, and the terrifying knowledge that his worst fears might soon become reality. Next, Days of Our Lives, Thursday, October 23, 2025, Truths, Goodbyes, and Ghosts of the Past. Today's episode of Days of Our Lives was a powerful blend of heartbreak, honesty, and long-awaited reckonings. The residents of Salem found themselves at emotional crossroads, torn between love and truth, loyalty and betrayal, and the painful need to let go. Amy faces a mother's worst fear. The day began with Sarah sitting Amy down for a talk that no mother ever wants to have. Amy already sensed that something was terribly wrong, but nothing could prepare her for Sarah's quiet, measured words. Sophia has been admitted to Bayview Psychiatric Hospital. For a long moment, Amy just stared at her friend in disbelief. Bayview. The very name of that institution sends chills through Salem. Everyone in town knows it's where the most dangerous, broken souls have gone, Stephen D. Mara, Ben Weston, and even Marlena's most troubled patients. Sending Sophia there feels like giving up, and Amy's heart refuses to accept it. Bayview? No. She just needs time, Sarah. She's been through so much, Amy protests, her voice breaking. But Sarah's tone is firm yet compassionate. She knows what Amy doesn't want to admit. Sophia's mind is unraveling, and without help, she could hurt herself or someone else. The final goodbye. In a poignant, tear-filled scene, Amy visits Sophia one last time before her transfer. The young woman sits in her hospital bed, fragile and distant, her eyes blank as if she's lost somewhere deep within her own mind. Amy strokes her daughter's hair, whispering, "It's just for a little while, sweetheart. You'll get better, I promise." But when Sophia looks up, there's no recognition in her eyes. For a split second, something flickers, confusion, fear, or maybe memory. And then she murmurs a single word, Rachel. That one name stops Amy cold. Rachel Black, the little girl whose twisted games have destroyed so many lives. Could Sophia's breakdown have something to do with Rachel's manipulations? Rachel's haunting flashback. Meanwhile, across town, Rachel is having a moment of her own. Sitting alone, clutching an old photograph, she suddenly flashes back to a terrifying scene, blood, shouting, a woman screaming Sophia's name. Her face drains of color. Whatever she remembers, it's something she's tried hard to forget. It's becoming clearer by the minute that Rachel's past isn't buried as deeply as she thought. Could this be the beginning of a reckoning for her as well? Xander and Maggie, the truth between them. While Amy and Sarah struggle with grief, another mother and son are caught in their own emotional tug-of-war. At the Kiriakis' mansion, Maggie greets Xander warmly after he's taken little Victoria trick-or-treating. On the surface, everything looks perfect, a family trying to rebuild. But beneath the polite smiles, tension hums like a live wire. Maggie studies Xander's face closely. He's charming, kind, and attentive, everything she's always wanted him to be. But she's been fooled before. Too many times. "I want to believe in you, Xander," she says softly. "I really do. But please tell me there's nothing you're hiding." Xander forces a smile, raising his glass in a half-hearted toast. "To new beginnings, Mom." But Maggie doesn't buy it. Her instincts tell her that something dark is bubbling under that calm exterior. She knows Xander's history, his temper, his secrets, his crimes. She loves him, but she can't ignore what her heart whispers. Sarah's worry, and the shadow of Philip. Just then, Sarah enters the room, her eyes flicking between her mother and Xander. She's been through too much pain to play guessing games anymore. She wants stability, truth, and peace, but Xander's silence feels like the calm before a storm. Maggie's patience finally snaps. She slams her glass down and turns to him. "Look me in the eye, Xander," she demands. "Tell me you didn't attack Philip." The air goes still. Xander's jaw tightens. His puppy dog eyes, so often his saving grace, don't shine this time. Sarah's heart drops as she realizes what Maggie already suspects: he's hiding something. The weight of truth. This isn't the first time Xander's past has come back to haunt him. Maggie remembers all too well how his lies tore their family apart before. He swore he'd changed, that fatherhood and love had redeemed him. But trust, once broken, is never easily repaired. "You promised me," Maggie whispers. "You promised you were done with the violence." Xander says nothing. The silence is an answer in itself. Sarah steps closer, her voice trembling. "Please, Xander, just tell the truth. Whatever it is, we can face it together. But no more lies." For a brief moment, the mask slips. Guilt flashes in Xander's eyes, and Maggie knows, he did it. He hurt Philip, and now the truth threatens to destroy everything he's built. The calm before the next storm. As the episode draws to a close, Salem feels heavy with secrets. Amy watches helplessly as Sophia is wheeled away, the daughter she once knew now a stranger lost to madness. Rachel sits alone, haunted by a past that refuses to stay buried. And at the Kiriakis' mansion, Maggie stands silently, her heart breaking as she realizes that love may not be enough to save her son. The camera lingers on Xander's face as he watches the two women he loves most turn away from him, Sarah's eyes filled with disappointment, Maggie's with quiet grief. And in the faintest whisper, Xander mutters to himself, "I just wanted to protect you all." But in Salem, protection often comes at a terrible price. What's next? Tomorrow's preview promises more turmoil. Will Sarah finally walk away from Xander for good? Will Maggie expose what she knows about Philip's attack? And will Rachel's flashback reveal the missing piece of Sophia's tragic downfall? One thing's for certain, Days of Our Lives isn't slowing down anytime soon. Every truth uncovered seems to open another wound, another secret, another haunting. And for the people of Salem, the past is never really gone, it just waits for the right moment to strike again.